Hey knitters, welcome back to Aro Knits and Purls. I'm your host, Aro of Aro Knits and Purls. As always, find my Ravelry, Instagram, Ko-Fi, Patreon, linked in the description below, along with the links for makers, designers, and dyers that I talk about in this episode. I usually, if you are new, hi. If you're new, what I usually do is I start with what I'm wearing. And that's normally because I just want you guys to be able to listen to what I'm actually saying instead of just staring at my chest, shoulder area, waiting for me to tell you what I'm wearing. And that's especially important today because this is a little bit loud, louder even than what I normally wear. I have been obsessed with this make since I've started it. This is the colorway that has captured my body and soul. I am completely obsessed. I wear this out all the time, and my boyfriend Sterling, he calls it my stop traffic dress because everywhere I go, it's just so aggressively pink. I love it. Yeah, so the pattern itself is the Clove Sweater by Rachel Kurihara, and I was in the original test knit group for the Clove Sweater, and I love it so much. It was one of those makes I knew instantly that I would want to make more, and at that point in my life I had never made a pattern twice before. It's just the fit is so flattering. It's drop shoulder, so you work top down, but it doesn't require seaming, just picking up for the sleeve stitches because the way that the front is joined with the back, it's seamless, just picking up stitches. If you are not yet comfortable with picking up stitches, there are plenty of tutorials on YouTube. That's kind of how I learned. I just watched a few videos until I just got better at it. And now I think I do a pretty good job. So the little bumps you see here along the back are from short row shaping. So what happens when you do a German short row, which is my ideal version of a short row, it creates a tiny bump. And there are some people who it really bothers. For me, it really doesn't. It's not really noticeable unless you are a knitter who happens to be a bit of a perfectionist. And I totally respect that, I do, because I get a little bit perfectionist about certain things, but that's not one of them. So the back is shaped with short row shaping. You pick along for the collar and the sleeve, and I just love this thing. The sleeves, there's a tiny bit of shaping that goes along the bottom, and I just think it's so flattering. I've seen it on many body types, and I've seen it on mine, and I love it. Yeah, the only thing is like the split hem. If you don't like working flat, you're gonna have to work flat on the top anyway. So yeah, I can't say enough nice things about the pattern. This is one of the few knits that I've made twice for myself, so yeah, if that's not a glowing recommendation, I don't know what is. The yarn is, I actually have some left over. This is the base yarn. It's a fingering, just classic 75-25 merino nylon from Passion Knits. The colorway, I believe, is not Foxxy. Am I remembering that right? It's gonna be linked it's gonna be in my Ravelry page, and I also do include for what I'm wearing the name of the yarn as well. So I'll double check. I just didn't check before I started recording. And the mohair is Electric Love by Scranton Stitcher in her mohair base. So Scranton Stitcher, she's lovely. And this is Electric Love, which is inspired by the song in Bob's Burgers, if you guys have ever watched it. Love Bob's Burgers. It's one of my favorite comfort TV shows to watch. And yeah, so this is my very, very aggressive pink sweater. I have, you can see, almost full skeins of each base left over. So what I'm planning on doing, I'll just use these to make a beret or maybe an Oslo beanie by the Petite Knitter, right? No, Petite Knits, pardon me. I get the names confused. Petite Knits Oslo hat. I've made a few before. I think I've shown you just the classic beanie that I did in just black fingering, because you can do it with fingering mohair, you can do it without. I've done without, and now with this left over, I can do one with. But I think because it's such a feminine color, instead of a beanie, a beret, a much more feminine looking beret would be more suited for the yarn. But I haven't totally decided. I'm not gonna make the hat, whatever I make, I'm not gonna make it for a little bit because it's so hot out that there's no reason for me to do so. I do actually, like while I'm wearing this recording in my apartment, I have my air conditioner running more aggressively than I normally would because I'm wearing mohair to record this, but alas. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing, so you guys can be at peace and join me along while I talk about other things. And what I normally do is I transition to what I'm working on. But before we get to that point, this episode is a little bit different because I want to talk about this new thing that I'm obsessed with, which is little, what do they call them? Needle stoppers. Okay, so I have recently come into the issue where I have never had this experience before. I've never had an issue with it, is my projects keep slipping off the dang needles. And I think it's because I used to use Leica, I think it's Leica, the driftwood set, which are wood needles. So wood tends to have a little bit more grip on it than metal needles, but I've transitioned back to my first love, which is nickel plated Addies. These guys, the shiny ones. So for me, I love the slippiness of it. I love the smoothness of the needle. You guys, if you have been with me for a while, you know I'm very texturally fixated, and smoothness is one of those things. So when I transitioned back to the metal needles, and now I put my knits along in my commute, and in my commute they kind of get rustled and moved around, so they've been slipping off the needles more and more. And I've never considered this a huge issue because it was just 1 or 2 stitches, and that's fine. But one of the projects that I'm going to show you later, it's like I'm knitting with butter. It just falls off the needle constantly, and like a bunch of stitches at once. And it's probably because I'm not using a huge circumference, so the stitches are all packed on. But all that to say, I've had to get needle stoppers these days. So today, luckily, I got a whole bunch in, so I can show you these. So these first, well, I have one more set, but it's all the way down there, so I'll show you later. But the first 3 I'm going to show you are from Woolberry Fiber Co. So Woolberry Fiber Co has a store on her website. Woolberry Fiber Co has a segment of her store called the Haberdashery, and that's for like knitting notions, little pouches, needle stoppers, wool wash, things like that. So the Haberdashery is there, and these needle stoppers are brand new as part of that. So this is this beautiful sagey color, and they are reversible. So this side has this beautiful little print, and then this side has the little tiny flowers, and I really like the silhouette of it because it's very modern. I love the colorway because it's this soft sage green. Then there's rainbow confetti ones, which seemed very me. I'm actually going to put this on one of the projects that I'm about to show you in a little bit, but not quite yet. But it's these cute little rainbow confetti balls. And then these, which are so cute, it's these peach floral little balls, teeny little balls. And they just, you stick them on, they're these little holes. For those of you who haven't seen these before, they're these little teeny holes that you just stick on your needle, and they are very resistant to falling off of the needles. And I know if you knit with like larger gauges, you're worried, but let's see. So these are US 10s that I'm holding right now, and let's see if this will stick on. Yep, sticks on. Sticks on great. Yep, so it can go pretty high up. I think if you were doing size 0 or smaller for like socks, or like 0, 1s, maybe even 2s, you might have an issue. But I have 3s on right now and they fit great. So yeah, unless, I think they will work for socks too, because I've seen sock knitters use them. So those are from Woolberry Fiber Co. Then the next one is from Luxe Co. I've never bought from Luxe, but I was looking through Etsy. This is their logo. But I was looking through Etsy and I found these little needle stoppers, and I thought they were really cute. This is the pink and marble set. So you see it has 2 shades of pink. There's this soft petal pink, and then there's this ultra soft pearlescent pink. There's black, And then there's this white marble, which I love. And what I am really excited about is that it comes in this adorable little pouch. So you just put them in there and then you tuck this in. I like little organization things, and this pouch is so cute. So I'm really excited about this. Now I have more than enough needle stoppers to deal with the many whips I have actively going. Some of my previous episodes, if you watch, you will know that I have so many whips, but those I don't consider active. They are hibernating, and they will probably hibernate for many years to come because I have a problem. Anyway, all that to say, yes, needle stoppers, I have a bunch now. I'm really happy with them, and I think it is going to help with my knitting, and also it's just a fun way to accessorize. If you've been knitting for as long as I have, you know, more than 15 years now, like, it is nice to keep that spice alive with just little tiny things. And because I've really slowed down on the buying of yarn as much as I used to, like, I'm not buying as much yarn, but I am focusing on what I do have and what brings me joy. And little tiny stitch, you know, needle stoppers and cute stitch markers, they are not going to burn as much of a hole in my wallet and budget as, you know, sweater quantities of yarn would. So that, for me, baby steps, baby steps. And if you have found that you don't need needle stoppers, go right ahead. Like, don't feel obligated to buy something if you don't think you need it, just because other people in the community are. Because I have been knitting, like I said, for more than 15 years, and this is my first time buying needle stoppers. So obviously you can go without. Yeah, so I just want you to, if you guys are new to knitting, I don't want you to feel like, oh, well, I have to get these, I have to get that. Don't think like that. All you need is 2 sticks and some yarn, and then you can knit. Yeah, so now that I talked about that, I will go into my whips. So there are a lot. Last time I showed you my community cozy, I had finished one sleeve, but I was really unhappy with the way it fit. It was just too wide. And so I have finally gone back and I started decreasing. I did more decreases than the pattern suggests, just because I have more slender wrists, and I like to emphasize that because I'm not a huge fan of the shape of my arms, and it's always been a very sensitive area for me, body image wise. So if I can emphasize my slender wrists, that makes me happier. And so that's why I did more dramatic decreases than the pattern originally calls for. I haven't blocked the bottom portion. I did the top part to show you guys. But yeah, so now that the sleeve is perfect, I've started on the second, and based on how fast I've been knitting lately, I think I will finish this probably tomorrow. Yeah, today I have other stuff I'm working on, so that won't be happening. But tomorrow I'm feeling optimistic. I've talked about this pattern. I don't think it's a beginner accessible pattern. This is Community Cozy by Alicia Plummer. She has a cardigan version of this waffle stitch. I love Alicia. She's a wonderful human being, lovely designer. And she has designs for various skill levels. So please don't take what I'm about to say as any criticism towards her or her designs in general. It's just this one is not as beginner friendly. That's just what it is. She's amazing, love her. Again, if you see a pattern and it looks more, you know, beginner friendly, like I think you'll be able to tell based on looking at it. Like, you can see the ribbing, it continues down and increases here. Like, when you see a design, if there are more elements to it, like, than just a simple stockinette, it's very easy to tell if something is beginner accessible or not, I think. Or maybe that's just my vantage point with experience. I don't know. But usually, if you're looking at a pattern page like on Ravelry, they'll have like the difficulty rating from people who have knitted before. So that's a really good indicator if you guys are still kind of developing that eye for it. But yeah, I would say this is a little bit more difficult just because there's a lot to keep track of. But there have been plenty of people who've surprised me by being really ambitious with their first makes. So don't let anything I'm gonna say be Bible. I know what works for me, I know what I like, and if that helps you guys figure out what you like, great. If it doesn't, don't listen to me. And then the baby sweater that I showed you guys last time, I am just about done. So cute. So this is part of the Making Memories. There's a pattern in here called the Cathedral Pullover. That's what I'm doing. And the Cathedral is this beautiful little bottom up yoke lace sweater. And we are doing a knit along. Sorry, I just lost a stitch. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put some stoppers on this. Yeah. Yeah. Ah. So cute. Now they won't fall off. Yay. Okay. So Unit 2. Claudia is of Unit 2 on Instagram. Again, everything will be linked below. But there is a make along for the Cathedral, and I am participating in that make along. I'm using Knitting for Olive. There's the label. Knitting for Olive in heavy merino, which is a worsted weight. I think it's just 100%. Yeah, 100% merino. It's traceable, non-mulesed. So it's Oeco-Tex. I don't know. They have really high standards. Knitting for Olive has high standards. Also for their silk, they are more sustainably sourced silk. Anyway, so Knitting for Olive, Unit 2 is very kind and sponsored the yarn for me and gave me a copy of the book to participate in this make along, and I'm really excited about it. Obviously, it's just started a few days ago, but I couldn't wait to get started because I showed you guys this last time. And I have finished the lace portion. I just need to do the ribbing now at this point. But this will be the first of 3 baby sweaters I make. Not for anything that's happening with me. Making that clear. I told you guys last time, this is for my boyfriend's brothers. Both of them separately are having babies at the same time, basically. Their wives are pregnant. So there will be 2 babies, and then the niece that's already in existence now, she will get one as well. So all 3 of the Swank babies will have little matching sweaters. And of course I'm gonna make one for myself because I'm me. I don't know what yarn I'm gonna use yet, because I wanna do a mohair. The sample that they've shown for the adult size is using mohair, and it looks so glowy. The yoke lace in it looks so glowy. And I didn't want to use mohair for a baby sweater, obviously, because babies, you know, the fibers can irritate them and their airways are just so sensitive at that age. So I was just like, no, like I'll just use a plain merino, plain wool. And for me, I'll do the mohair. So I'll be matching with these babies once they're around. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's so cute and it goes so quick. Like, I know I haven't had a lot of progress on this to show you guys since the last time I worked on it, but that's because I've been knitting so many other things, you guys. So many other things. So yeah, that's why this hasn't been finished. I definitely could have finished it if I had focused, but the make along is lasting for several more weeks, so I'm not particularly worried about finishing even the other 2 baby sweaters. Yes, so that's that. And this book, if you don't have it, I think I showed you guys this last time, but it's full of really, really, really pretty child and baby knits. Each one, even though the pictures will show, you know, a specific child or infant, the sizes go up all the way to 10 years old. Yeah, so I think it's a pretty wide range and definitely worth it if you have little ones in your life. Definitely worth it. And then I know I've talked about how many whips I have going, but there's one whip that there's 2 more whips I'm going to show you, but there's one whip that I definitely have no business starting. I'm going to save that for last, actually. Okay, the next one, I'm sorry, I'm so disorganized. So this one is the Air Tee by Ozetta. And y'all know, based on my experience with the Moonset pullover, I showed you guys this last time, the Moonset, but I'm obsessed with Ozetta designs. They fit so well, they're so flattering. They really are a blank canvas to have fun with, yarn selections. But this one, the Air Tee, is just a classic fingering weight tee. So I will say right now, my sleeve, I'm going to go back and rip it out because it is too wide. It is too wide. And I think that's because my gauge is just a little bit off on the sleeve. Because you know when you work in a smaller circumference, your gauge ends up tighter. Oftentimes that happens. There are some people who will automatically knit looser, but for me, I found that when it's a tight circumference, like a tight little round tube, I tend to knit tighter because of the tightness of the tube. So I will just make it extra tight and the gauge is totally off from the body. All that to say, I think that I cast on more stitches and I used a smaller needle thinking, oh, well, I normally knit tight or larger needle. Anyway, I tried to get ahead of myself and like fix the problem I knew I would have, but instead I made it worse. So I'm just gonna go back, and redo it. Cast on fewer stitches for the sleeve because they are picked up. I really love the shaping on the armhole, however. Like, I just want to make note of that real quick. Because if you can see on both sides, there's this really delicate shaping that goes on. Yeah. So it's knit from the back. You do this rectangle portion first. So you cast on here. She recommended doing Judy's Magic provisional cast on. I have never done that. And I still have never done that because I watched her tutorial videos and it wasn't clicking. I tried it, wasn't clicking at all. Then I watched like 6 other tutorial videos. It still wasn't clicking for me at all. So I just did a normal cast on. I didn't even do provisional. I just did normal long tail cast on. And then at the portion where she says pick up the provisional, I just picked up like a normal. Okay, there's a baby out in the hallway, so I don't know if you can hear the screaming. But anyway, yeah, so I just did normal cast on, and honestly, you can barely see it, like barely. So I think I'm okay with doing it this way. If you want to challenge yourself and learn something new, by all means go ahead. But for me, the Judy's Magic provisional cast on was not happening, and so that's fine. I just didn't do it, okay? Don't hate me. But yeah, so it uses short row shaping. So if you're not comfortable with German short rows, you know, watch a couple YouTube videos about it. It's very easy. I've talked about it before. It's my favorite short row method. But yeah, so the back rectangle, it creates this seamless transition from this part in the back to the sleeve. And you can even see here, it's just too big. It's just too big. The sleeve's too big. But anyway, all that to say, I'm going back through. I have just a couple more centimeters I want to hit before I do the I-cord edging. So the edging on both sleeves and neckline and bottom hem will be I-cord. So if you're not used to I-cord, there will be tutorials for that. With this one, she recommends that you pick up and then knit a few rows before you do the I-cord. I will say, listen to the instructions on that, because what I did when I did the ART, the first neckline I did, I just picked up and then immediately went into I-cord. And what happened was there was none of this like neat transition space. I think that negative space is actually what makes it look neater. When I originally did it, I just did straight on the edge and it did not look as nice. So I highly recommend you follow the pattern than that. And a lot of knitting I found is, you know, find what works for you. Because if you love Judy's Magic provisional cast on, then you're like, yeah, Ara, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm gonna do this. And great, that's great. And if you like the look of the I-cord immediately next to it, that's great. But for me, I think it looks neater, so that's what I'm gonna go with. And it's all a question of preference. Oh, and the stoppers on these are also from Woolberry. These are little tulips, I love tulips. And I just thought these were so cute, so I wanted to get them. I like the red color because it pops against the white of the yarn that I'm using. And the yarn that I'm using, before I forget to show you guys, if you guys remember, this one's an old one I showed you. It's Illimani Sabri. So this is just, it's available in a lot of yarn stores I found. I know it's carried by Hill Country Weavers in Austin, Texas, where I used to shop mainly. But it's also available at Apricot Yarns in San Diego. I'm just naming those off the top of my head. Also available, another one in Texas, McKinney Knittery. I'm not a resource for just who carries what yarn. I highly recommend Googling or Ravelry, because if you look up a yarn in Ravelry, it'll tell you like where you can buy. So I highly recommend using that tool if Ravelry is accessible to you. But yeah, Illimani Sabri, this I really like. It's fingering weight, and it's 85% organic cotton and 15% baby alpaca. So the issue that, the issue that I have with most cottons is that it feels too dry. However, the baby alpaca with this makes it just really soft in hand. And yes, there's some halo to it, but 85% cotton makes it such an accessible summer fiber, in my opinion. Oh, there's some pink fuzz on that. Do you see that pink fuzz? This stuff is everywhere now. It's actually really like funny. This is the hazard of having such an aggressively pink fuzzy sweater. It gets everywhere. And even Sterling will be like, I found one of your hair tufts, like your pink fuzz tufts in my jeans. How did they get there? And I'll be like, I have no idea. But anyway, yeah, so this one, it's also a really accessible price point. I got this from McKinney Knittery probably a couple years ago, and this is $15. $15 for a full fingering weight skein. So that's pretty good, because if you think about, you know, indie dyed fingering weight skeins, they can go from 20, I want to say the average now 27 to 32 even. So I'm just saying, it's really good price point. If you have never used it before, I highly recommend it. And it is a really nice summer fiber. I have been just blown away by the drape of this thing, knitting it. It's, again, my first time using it, and I am totally converted. I've talked about how I don't want to knit fingering weight sweaters these days, but really the drape is just unbeatable. And the Illimani Sabri looks really good. It has a great fuzz halo. Like, it's just slight that it's not gonna like get in your mouth. And as a summer fiber, it's so lightweight. It breathes like a dream. I can't recommend it enough. Okay, all right. And now, while I'm talking about yarns that I'm really excited to buy and whips that I have no business starting, you guys know June for me is a very special time, because Camellia Fiber Company brings back Rainbow Sprinkles and Magic Rainbow Sprinkles. So Rainbow Sprinkles it's amazing. I think I have pimped out Rainbow Sprinkles so many times because it's one of my favorite colorways. It's this beautiful cream. This is worsted weight Rainbow Sprinkles held with undyed mohair, and like you can see the halo of the undyed mohair, and then there's just the delicate rainbow sprinkles. And Rainbow Sprinkles, as opposed to Magic Rainbow Sprinkles, this is using primary color speckles, and then these are using UV reactive neon speckles. So they will have similar colorways interspersed, but this one will be UV reactive and this will not. And you're asking yourself, why does that matter? It doesn't, unless you like want to go to a blacklight party or something like that. It doesn't matter, but the yellows, you'll be able to see slight differences. The yellows versus the pinks, there will be slight differences. And I'm showing you this sample of Rainbow Sprinkles knit up, so I can show you my new whip of Magic Sprinkles knit up. So you can see here, this one has more pink than red. This one has more red. The yellows on this one are much more neon than this one. I just wanted to show you the difference. I love Camellia Fiber Company. I love when she does these colorways. These two colorways are really special because she does donate part of the proceeds to the Trevor Project, which is very important to me. And it's one of those colorways that makes me smile. And who couldn't use more smiling? Obviously I couldn't stop myself from knitting a little bit. Sorry. Yeah. Let's show you the actual pattern. What I'm working on is the Auguste sweater by Colibri. I have knit a lot of Colibri designs. I will say this one is a little bit difficult. It's just in the beginning stages, so it's hard to show you. But the raglan itself is a cable. The raglan increases, you're gonna have to incorporate cabling along with it. And it is a lot to keep track of, especially because the pattern, it's not the clearest colibri pattern I've done. It is definitely more difficult. And I noticed that when I looked at the pattern, because it was between this, the Augusta, and my favorite knitwear's sweater number 15, I think, sweater number 15. That's the really cabled all over one. I was looking at those two patterns, but I liked the fit of Augusta better. However, I will say right off the bat, Augusta is not size inclusive. It's written for only 3 sizes. So small, medium, clustered in, no, extra small, small, clustered into one, small, medium, no, oh my God, sorry, forget what I'm saying. Small, medium, no, extra small, 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 medium, medium, large, medium, large, medium, large, and then larger sizes from there. And they're just bunched into it, so they have 3 sizes, and that's not size inclusive. I think the standard these days for true size inclusivity is like at least up to 63 bust, which is not covered in the Augusta pattern. And that's not to say that I think Colibri is a bad person or anything like that. I am not as militant with my views as some other people, and I think rightfully so, to call out certain designers who don't make things size inclusive. But I just didn't see it before I got the pattern, and if I had recognized that before, I probably wouldn't have gotten it, because I can't in good faith like recommend it to you guys, because I know there are a lot of you who are plus size or just don't want to knit non-inclusive designs. So like, that was my bad. I totally missed that. And it, like I said, it's not beginner accessible like at all. Even for me, I'm inputting a lot of intuition based on my knitting experience, but I know that's not shared with everybody. So if you aren't comfortable like reading between the lines and injecting your own knowledge into it, this is a pretty difficult pattern, I will say. Yeah, but it is really cute. It's really cute. I just have the neckline so far, really, but it is really cute. Let's see. Yeah, so this is Rainbow Sprinkles, Augusta. I had no reason to cast this on, except I just really wanted to cast something on in this. Yeah. Okay, so that's the whips. I know that was a big chunk of it too, but yarn, I don't have a lot of yarn to show you guys that I've gotten. Like I said, I have been slowing my roll considerably. But one of the, I want to say this was March Woolberry collective. One of the March colorways was Fresh Eucalyptus, and if you guys didn't see in my stories, I'm completely obsessed with it. It is so beautiful. It's this soft pistachio green, very delicate, so cute. I want to cast something on immediately just because I like it so much. Yeah, Fresh Eucalyptus. The joke I made in my stories was like, when I die, someone knit a stockinette shroud in this to fit my body in, because that's how much I love it. It's just gorgeous. It's very springy, perfect for the time of year it was, March. And then the other sweater quantity that I got. So I only buy sweater quantities if you're new, just because that's what I like to make. I don't show you guys the entire sweater quantity because I have small hands and I can't carry that much yarn in a delicate way. So when I show you guys just 2 skeins each, it's not because that's all it takes for me to make a sweater. Like, it's just because that's what I'm showing you. This is the Wandering Flock. I told myself, along with my friends, we all said, we're not going to buy Wandering Flock until we go to Rhinebeck. Because when we go to Rhinebeck, we're going to see Geraldine. She's going to be there selling yarn, so we'll get it then. And that way we won't have to pay for shipping. And this will be a good way for us to control ourselves, blah, 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 blah. Everything we said to ourselves, and lied. Because clearly I have more Wandering Flock yarn in my hands. And the reason we were able to accept this as a committee of the 3 of us, the triumvirate of me, Megan, and Andrea, the triumvirate was able to make a decision on this because this is an exclusive colorway to a specific yarn store called Wild Hand. Wild Hand. And this yarn, this colorway is named after that store. So this colorway is called Wild Hand. And I have been obsessed with this since she revealed it, probably a year ago. It's just so cute. It's just so cute. It's got this warm tone to it. Like it's definitely a creamy, peachy base. And then just the magenta, neon orange, neon yellow speckles just slay me completely. And as soon as they got this back in stock, both Wild Hand and Geraldine of the Wandering Flock let me know. And then I went to my friend group, the Triumvirate. I went to them and I was like, well, they have DK, so my hands are tied. I'm getting it. Y'all better get it too. And so all three of us got it. I think they still have some of the colorway available, by the way, on their website. And again, it will be linked in the description below. But yeah, so all three of us got the same thing, same weight. So we're probably gonna make another, well, we say triplet sweater. All of us have such different styles that we tend to make, you know, it's either one pattern the same and different yarns, or one design the same, or like the inverse. We never really do the same thing exactly, except for one thing that we'll talk about later. But anyway, all that to say, yes, Wild Hand, Wandering Flock, it was definitely worth it. I have no regrets. Once, like, I tend to chide myself for not following through with some of my commitments to buy less and blah, blah, blah. But then this came in the mail and I was like, you know what? All that's out the window. Zero regrets. Amazing, amazing choice. And I have to say, yeah, we did good. But yeah, so I hope that was enough whips to show you guys. I hope that was enough yarn to show you guys. I know I took an extra week off, but sorry. Yeah, so if you guys want to comment about things you're excited to see me knit next, what you want to see more of, please let me know. I know I did promise in my stories that I was thinking about starting the True Crime Knit Nights again. There's a lot of reasons why I stopped. I don't want to go into it again here, but I am starting the research on my next episode, so keep your eyes peeled for that. As always, have a wonderful, wonderful time until I see you next, and happy knitting. Bye, guys.